Hi everyone, Slangel here from Slangel Designs, and we're back today with the pumpkin spice 1-row repeat. Now, I know this doesn't look very pumpkin-y, but I was just making up a sample with some of the yarn I had left over. This is just a small sample size with the border finished. If you're making this, the finished size of the blanket should be about 50 inches by 60 inches. I have a typo here. But you can make it as big or as small as you'd like. It's a multiple of 3 plus 4. So you would do like 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 3. And when you have it wide enough, you just add four more chains to your starting chain. I would classify this pattern as a beginner. It may look a little complicated, but it's super simple, okay? And it's something you could easily do just sitting watching TV and kind of get lost in what you're doing, and it's a fairly straightforward pattern. So this here is made, it recommends the bulky weight, a number 5 yarn. Now, you can easily use whatever yarn you have. It's just you need to realize you need to accommodate for the size difference in the yarn. Because when you're working with the bulky weight, it says you need a size 8mm or a US L11 hook. So when I made this one, that's what I used. I used the 8mm. Now, I also, just for demonstration purposes and just to show you that it's a very forgiving pattern, I made one with just worsted weight yarn, and I did the same number of starting stitches, and I did the same number of rows and everything, and you can see the size difference, okay? So if you wanted to, you can very easily adjust your yarn, but I also used a 5.5mm hook because that's what was recommended on the yarn label that came with this. Okay, and it works up very nicely. If you were making this for like a baby blanket, use the hook recommended on your label, but what you need to realize is you're going to have a longer starting chain to accommodate for the size difference, and you're going to need to work more rows of the repeat to get to the length you're going to need. So in the pattern that I'm going to include the PDF for, it is for if you're working with this size yarn and you're going to do the 72 rows, then do your border. If you're going to use a worsted weight or any other weight yarn, you may need to do, you know, instead of starting with a chain of 100, you may need to start with a chain of, like, you know, 150, 100, whatever the multiples work out to be. And instead of doing 72 rows, you might need to do 90. It all depends, but you can customize it very easily if you want to, okay? But the bulky weight yarn is super soft and it makes it nice and cozy. So anyway, it's very easy, and it looks more complicated than it is. Now, one thing I will say, I'm going to include the PDF on the website for a free download. When it comes to the 3rd row of the border, where you're doing what's called the picot stitch, I found I struggled to write that part of the pattern down in words to describe it probably with enough justice. So to make it more clear, I'm going to also include the link to that part to the video, because you may need to see what I'm talking about to totally understand it, okay? And once you watch this, you just may have to refer back to it, okay? So I'm going to set this aside. For demonstration purposes today, I'm going to use just the worsted weight and a 5.5mm hook. And all terms that are used in the pattern are in US terminology, okay? So in the instructions, I did say if you're using the bulky weight, or something you can also do is, and I've done this in the past because sometimes the bulky weight yarn can be pretty expensive, but not only that, I find sometimes Michael's just doesn't have enough of it for my project, and I have this already knotted and I don't know how. So anyway, because if you're using the bulky weight yarn, you're going to need about 42 ounces to make the blanket to be the 50 by 60 inch. So sometimes they don't always have, like, say you need 7 balls of the yarn, they may only have 5. Well, shoot, now what do you do? But you may see, oh, look at that worsted weight yarn, that's a pretty color, I wouldn't mind using that, but it wants me to use a 5. Well, what you can do, I'm just off camera here trying to get my yarn on knot. What you can do is take 2 strands of the worsted weight yarn it will act as a bulky weight. So, and you would still use the 8mm hook because you're now using the 2 strands together instead of the 1, which makes it thicker. Okay, so I do kind of say that in the written PDF. It'll say chain 100 if using bulky weight or a double strand. If you're using just a worsted weight, use the recommended hook size and multiples of 3 plus 4 until you reach your desired width, okay? Easy peasy. All right, so to start, we're gonna get our slip knot, our knot on there and get our yarn attached to our hook. And you're gonna chain either the 100, if you're following the pattern exactly, or your multiples of 3 plus 4. So I'm gonna just do the multiples of 3 plus 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that's my multiple of 3. Then I'm going to add on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, for row 1, which is our foundation row, after you've got your starting chain, it says to skip three chains, and in the 4th chain from your hook, you're going to put a double crochet. So the loop on your hook does not count. So you're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and in this 4th chain here is where you're going to put your double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, skip 1, 2, 3, 4th chain, double crochet, which is yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we're going to chain 2, and in that same space that we just did our double crochet, we're going to go back in with a single crochet. And I'll put the link to those tutorials as well for the single and the double and the half double crochet. So that's your first shell, in a sense, made, okay? So now for the rest of the row, the repeat is we're going to skip 2 chains. So skip 1, 2, in the next chain put 2 double crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet, all in that one space, okay? And that's the repeat. So again, we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and the next one, 2 double crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet. And we're going to work our way to the end here. I'm just going to keep on going. So we're going to skip 2 in that one. And again, this is just the foundation row. Once we finish this one, we're going to start the repeat row, which is super simple. So again, skip 2, 1, 2, and the next one, 2 double crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Skip 2, 1, 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet. Now we're at the last, so we're going to skip 2. In our last chain, we're going to do our 2 double crochet, chain 2, and this kind of threw me the first couple of times I was doing it. I'm like, it doesn't look like it's going to work out even, but it will. All right, so that's the end of the foundation row. So now you're going to chain 3, turn your work, And the chain 3 always counts as your double crochet. So you're going to, in the first, from now on, you're going to work in the chain 2 spaces that you made when you did the chain 2. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to put a double crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet in that chain 2 space. You don't need to do the 2 double crochets because the chain 3 counted as your first one. So now find your next next 2 chain space, which is right here. You're going to go immediately in with a double crochet, a second double crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet. And this is what you're going to do across in each of those chain 2 spaces. 2 double crochets, chain 2, single crochet, right into the next one with 2 double crochets, chain 2, single crochet. So you can see how this starts to pick up pace, and especially if you're using the bulky weight yarn, it works up fairly quickly. All right, in here, 2 double crochets, chain 2, single crochet into your next chain 2 space, 2 double crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Then you're going to find, this is where it kind of threw me, because your last chain 2 spaces right here, I'm thinking, how's that going to make it line up at the end? But you'll see. Trust the process. 2 double crochets, chain 2, single crochet. It ends up kind of wrapping around a little, curving around to make it work out, okay? So now that's your repeat row. So you're going to chain 3, put a double crochet in that chain 2 space, then chain 2, single crochet, and just start working your way across in those chain 2 spaces with your 2 double crochets, chain 2, and a single crochet, and just keep on going across. And if you're using the bulky weight yarn, you're going to do 72 rows of that, or if you've opted to make it a little bigger, you just keep on going until you have the project the size you want it to be. And if you're using the worsted weight yarn like I am, and you want to make the whole project out of that, do however many rows that you're going to need to make your desired size, okay? All right, so as you can see, this would work up fairly quickly, and it's kind of, once you get going, it becomes muscle memory, and it's fairly quick. And they're very easy basic stitches with the double crochet and the single crochet, but when you put them all together, they're very pretty. All right, so let's see here. So after our 3rd row, oh, sorry, I just hit the camera with my head. That's what you're gonna have. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to pause there, and if you want to get your project made to the length and the width that you want, and then we'll come back. I'm going to add a couple more rows, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to put the border on. Be right back. Okay, so I finished probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I finished 6 rows. So when you reach your end of your 72, or however many you're done, you're going to find that you're going to end up working on the wrong side. That's okay. All right, so when you turn your work around, you should be fine. I know on my sample I'm not quite, but you'll get the picture. So in order to put the border on, because you're going to notice like you have your straight edges kind of along the bottom, you do, but here you've got little bumps, and they're a little bumpy on the sides, okay? They don't line up perfectly. So what we need to do is end up making a straight edge all the way around so that we can finish our border. So to do that, we're going to chain 2, which counts as your first half double crochet. Now, in this chain 2 space, you're going to put 2 half double crochets. And again, I'll put the link in the description for the tutorial for those stitches. Now, in the space between your shells, which is in here, okay, because you've got your chain 2 space, shell, you are going to put a double crochet, okay? So in here, put a double crochet. Then the repeat across is 2 half double crochets in the chain 2 space, a double crochet between the shells. So 2 half double crochets in the chain 2 space, and a double crochet in between the shells. And you're just going to work this across until you get to the corner. And I'll show you some of the corners are not all identical, because there are some that just because of the way the placement is, you have to do it a little different. Nothing too drastic, but it's not many times you come across a pattern where the corners aren't all the same. All right, so we're coming to the end here. So what you're going to do is you're going to place 2 half, you're going to put in the top of the turning chain. Okay, so we're going to put our 2 half double crochets in there. So now we're towards the end here. You're going to skip this double crochet here. All right, so what you're going to do in the top of the turning chain, which is this one here, so you're skipping this double crochet here. This is your turning chain from the row, okay? In the top of this turning chain in here, you're going to put a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, all in there. So you're going to come in here, get your hook in, make sure you have 2, make sure you're getting both up from the stitch. Half double crochet, chain 1, right back in with another half double crochet. That's the corner for that corner. Now, what you have to do is work down, this will be your long length of your blanket. What you're going to do is put 2 half double crochets in the larger end row. So 1, 2, and then you'll see the single crochet end row. You're going to put a double crochet in there. So then you have the larger one here, 2 half double crochets, I gotta put that yarn down, it keeps bouncing all over the place. Then in this single crochet end row here, a double crochet. And you're going to repeat this across till you get to the corner. So half double crochet, which will get us to the next corner, okay? So the next corner is the first chain of the foundation row, okay? So what you're going to do, one second. Yeah, so you're going to place 2 half double crochets in the first chain. So in here, where you're starting, come on, fingers work. you're going to put 2 half double crochets, then you're going to chain 1 and put another 2 half double crochets in there. And this corner's a little different, okay? Because you needed to build it up a little bit more. So then I'm just going to try to tuck my yarn in as I'm going here. You're going to work a half double crochet across in each, okay? So in the chain where you skip those 2 chains at the beginning, because remember you would put a shell, for lack of a better term, the shell in 1 chain, skip 2. You're going to put 2 half double crochets in there because there's really 2 stitches, okay? So 2 half double crochets in there, and then 1 in the base of the shell where you were putting the 2 double crochets, the chain 2, and the single crochet. And we're going to 2 half double crochets there. Just 1 in the base of the next shell, and we're going to work our way across till we get to the next corner. I'm showing the border in a bit more detail here because usually I'll tell you to pause and stuff like that, but some of it might be a little, it's not as straightforward. I'm just going to trim off this little bit of yarn here so it's out of my way. So if you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comment section. And I always enjoy finding out where people are watching from. I think that's very interesting. So if you want to, you can post in the comment section where you're watching from. All right, so we're towards the end of this next row. We're getting to the corner here. So at this corner, you're going to put in 2 half double crochets, a chain 1, and 2 half double crochets. So 1, 2, chain 1, right back in with another 2 half double crochets. And we're coming back down, which will be the length of your work. In that space between the 2 shells, we're going back in with a double crochet. In the chain 2 space, 2 half double crochets again. In between the 2 shells, a double crochet. Oops. Jumped ahead 1 too many. And then 2 half double crochets, dip down in for the double. Oops. Now you're going to go in here with a half double crochet, your 2 half double crochets, 2 half double crochets, chain 1, and then you're going to slip stitch to the beginning chain, and that makes your last corner. So now, and you have to kind of block it a little bit. Now what you're going to do for row 2, which is super simple, is chain 1, and then you're going to single crochet in the same chain space. Then you're going to single crochet until you get all the way across until you get to the next corner. So single crochet in each stitch. And now that everything's a straight edge, it goes fairly smoothly and fairly quickly. This is when I first started recording the tutorial for this. I was going to try to do the 2 strands of yarn together, and I had this color and another color, and separately they look really nice, and when I had them side by side I was like, yeah, they may go together. And then I started making the tutorial and I'm like, oh my god, this is the most terrible color combination I ever could have come up with. And I had to redid the whole thing because I really didn't like it. So it just goes to show you, sometimes doing a sample piece is key, because your colors might look okay, but when you get them together, you're like, no. All right, so we're over to that chain, the space that we made our corner. In that corner, you're going to put 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want to kind of warn you about this, and I have this in the PDF pattern. You got to be careful, because sometimes where it gets crowded, it kind of covers the next stitch, okay? Because sometimes it makes it a little crowded. So what you're going to do is keep single crocheting until you get to your next corner, and put 4 single crochets in that corner again, and just work your way around until you get back to the beginning, and I'll meet you there. So if you want to press pause and do your single crochets and your 4 single crochets in your corner, and meet me back at the beginning of the round, and we'll pick up from there. Right back. Okay, so you've got your single crochets all around, your 4 in each corner. So now it's time for the round 3 of the border. So this is the one that can get kind of tricky, and I'd say out of the whole pattern, this is probably the most tricky spot. Tricky? Most tricky? Tricky. This is probably the harder part of the thing. So you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, which counts as your first double crochet. Then you're going to go back in with another double. This is where it gets a little different. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to go back in and grab the loop from the bottom of the chain 3, and then you're going to go in and grab the top loop from the double crochet, pull your yarn through yarn over and pull through, so you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3, and that makes the picot. So then you're going to double crochet in the next one, double crochet in the next, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to slide when you're looking here at you're coming in and you're grabbing that stitch, and then you're going to slide your hook in under the next one. Yarn over, pull your hook through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Double crochet the next, double crochet the next, chain 3. And again, I'm just going to try to get a little close here. So when you're looking at your work here, you're going in the top and grab that next loop, yarn over, pull through yarn through the first loop so that you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, double crochet the next, and double crochet the next one, chain 3. So yarn, hook in through the loop there, hook in through that next loop from the double crochet, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And this is what you're going to do across until you get to the corner. I'll show you again here. So chain 3. This is one of those things, like I said, once you see it, it makes more sense than trying to read it on paper. Put your hook into the existing first loop, into the second loop, yarn over, pull through to the first loop, so you have 3 on your chain, on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And this is what you're going to keep doing until you get to the corner. And once you realize where your hook's going, you can go, it goes fairly quickly. and it makes a really pretty border. So in the comments too, I know a lot of people who are into crochet and have lots of different things on the go. What other projects are you working on? What have you made lately? I'm kind of curious. So you can kind of see how the borders form in there. I'm going to show you once we get to the corner here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I don't know if you just heard that bang, but my cat is going crazy out there. It's a kitten. She's maybe 6 months old, and she's a little holy terror. Settled down a little bit, but she's still very mischievous. We have 2 cats. We have her and another cat, and the other cat is more. We had 2 before, and one of them passed away, and we thought, well, she was kind of lonely because they both had grown up together. So we got the new kitten. Well, the other cat's not too impressed. They're okay. She tolerates her, but she's not used to all the energy. But she seems to be a little happier now that she's got a friend. All right. So we're getting to the corner here. 1, 2, 3. I'll show you the corner, and then I'll get you to work your way. All right, so now that we're here at the corner, we're going to, we've put 1 stitch in. We're going to put the next double crochet in the same one, along with the next picot one. So you're gonna, in each corner, you're gonna put 3 stitches, and depending on how your work is going, it could be a picot and 2, like a double crochet, picot, double crochet. It might be a picot, double crochet, like it's gonna depend on how many stitches you've done and stuff like that. But you're just gonna put 3 stitches in, no matter what you end up with, if that makes sense. Whatever order, you'll put 3. So let me get to my next corner here, and we'll see what I end up with again. But this is what you're just going to repeat across and all the way around until you get to the end. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them. I do get back to you as soon as I can, which is, I think, fairly, I try to respond promptly. Let's see, 1, so yeah, I think this part here of the border is probably the most complicated part of the whole pattern. And once you master that, you're laughing. All right, we're getting to the edge here, the corner. All right, so this is our corner here. So we're gonna do our double crochet in that one. So now we're at the corner. So we're gonna put 3 in. So I just did a double crochet. So the next one would be a picot. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna go right back in with a double crochet. And then because we need to put our third one in there, we're going to put another picot. And then we're going to carry across that row, double crochet, a picot. I'll just do a couple here so you can see how the corner turned out. See? And that's how you get around the corner. So if you want to press pause and work around the rest of your project, then meet me back here and I'll show you how we're going to finish at the end there, and be right back. Okay, so I've done my third row of my border and did my corners. So I just finished 2 in my last corner. So I will put my third stitch and then I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the first chain 3. And I will fasten off and secure with a slip knot there, and then we'll weave our ends in. And again, if you're making the blanket, this would obviously be on a much larger scale. The back of the work there. All right, so that's what you're going to end up with, but like I said, on a much larger scale. It'll be about a 50 by 60, or depending on how big you want to make it with your multiples. All right, it works up super easy, and that border, in all honesty, would be very lovely on many different blankets, and it's a nice little border to have, and it just gives it a nice little texture and a little design. So that is what we're calling the pumpkin spice 1 row repeat. Super easy, super pretty. So again, thank you for watching. If you like it, don't forget to give a like, and if you also like to give a subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Trying to grow the channel and help out as many people as we can learn how to crochet and do different things. So yeah, again, very forgiving stitch. Love to see what you make if you make it, okay? What colors you use. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I know I'm rambling. And I will see you in the next video. Take care and happy crocheting.